What do you think about life?
It's all about love and playing the game.
Welcome to Bits, man. This week, buckle up, chump, for the top 5 backseat drivers.
And we let loose another ranter on an unsuspecting public. Alex ups the ante in hostile waters.
And Emily summons up a truly ingenious RPG for the PS2.
First, let us take a trip with Boof and Fear Effect 2.
And this is a special gift from me.
The original Fear Effect always delved into the elusive heroine's ambiguous sexual preferences, but now the sequel has boldly gone where no game has gone before. Am I right in thinking the industry is finally waking up to its more mature audiences with the first ever self-conscious, if a little titillating, gay relationship?
Sorry, boys. This is private.
If you're looking for Trish and Tracy, bosom buddies from Basildon, then go and get yourself some cheap tabloid, because this is far more classy. Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix refreshes the parts other games can't reach in so many ways.
So what the frig is Retro Helix anywho? The year is 2050, and scientists have successfully mapped 97% of the human genome. The remaining 3% is the so-called retro helix, made up of evolution's leftover dregs. It seems this is the key to AINS, the latest lethal epidemic which threatens to wipe out the human race at its evolutionary core. Depressing stuff. Unlike many games, you actually care about this one's story on top of your immediate objectives, because everything you do is relative to the plot. Problem solving is usually logical, often mathematical, but sometimes damn near impossible without a PhD in engineering.
Automatic lockdown procedures commencing. Countdown in progress.
There's also a new dynamic to the story, and her name is Rain, a technical genius of no known origin. This is where dark sci-fi meets lesbian film noir anime. Ooh, it just drips off the tongue, doesn't it?
Move, now! Hannah and Rain are partners in every way, and their flirtatious nature with one another is charming and salaciously written. But what's more important is the strategic way you switch back and forth between characters depending on who's better equipped to deal with the action. When Rain is captured by a big perv man, you switch characters to Hannah, who runs to the rescue. Ooh, how's that for tentacle pornography? I can tell you now, those moans... pleasure, not pain. This game is tough, and it's largely about trial and error and going back to repeat key scenes so as to complete them perfectly. There are no health pickups. The only way to stay alive is to keep your confidence up and your fear locked away.
This game is truly intelligent, with a plot that will manipulate your genes in more ways than one. It requires skill, patience, and a lot of timing, lads, so hey, maybe it's more of a girl thing. Fear Effect 2 Retro Helix will be coming on your PlayStations on the 16th. Ooh, now it's time for Shop Shelf.
If you're the kind of person who loves technology but doesn't want things to be too fast-moving, here's Europa Universalis to satisfy all of your strategy needs. Fancy yourself as a European superpower, don your most historically accurate uniform, and monger this onto your PC.
Get your motor running and put your carpet-slippered foot down with this long-awaited driving sim. Vanishing Point puts you behind the wheel of the kind of cars you'd buy if you ever got your lazy ass off the sofa and into a real job. Out now for PlayStation.
But if you're never going to get that job, why not just take to the streets, kick some ass and steal a car instead? Grand Theft Auto 2 gives you squealing tyres, wailing sirens and burning rubber in one gang-infested driver. You've seen it for the Dreamcast, PC and PlayStation, and now it's available for Nout from freeloader.com.
Work up a sweat with a bit of big men bouncing balls action from NBA 2001. It doesn't matter if you're 5'0" and have never even jumped out of bed. You can leap, shoot and fly high above the rim with the best of them. Real NBA coaches, bench sequences and new player reactions. It's all there, but without the smell of sweat and popcorn. Out out now for PC and PlayStation 2.
To infinity and beyond!
You may turn your nose up at the thought of another kart racer. You may think Toy Story Racer no more than a callous attempt to capitalize on a rapidly cooling license. But even if you think these games are evil, they do have an annoying habit of being fun.
What is it about role-playing gamers? They take everything so seriously. It's roll this 20-sided die, take into account 5 separate statistics, and then subtract from your final hit score. Suck mint.
Most gamers can't be asked. We want immediate gratification, instant action. We want to have a laugh with our friends.
Well, it's time to sink your lonely heads back into the annals of RPG again with the dark and dramatic Summoner for the PlayStation 2.
Mura the Usurper, Emperor of Orenia, a realm far to the north across the sea.
You begin as young farm boy Joseph, who bears the mark of a summoner. This gives him the power to call monsters as his minions. In typical role-playing game style, he hooks up with other outcasts, a fighter, thief and sorceress, to eventually take on the forces of evil. No surprises then. An ostensibly non-linear game, you'll find plenty of mini-quests to keep you busy by the by. The characters are all as believably portrayed as fantasy is ever going to get, complete with actors doing the voiceover for that epic Hollywood feel. But it wasn't all dropped jaws and popcorn from their first reel. This game and Formula 1 have a lot in common. You'll be going round in circles for hours. But stick with it and you will get sucked in like an extra strong one. Eventually. There are a lot of problems with this game though. Dreadful pop-up, so bad that entire buildings might suddenly appear to surround you, frustrating maps, annoying camera angles, and most unforgivable load times that crop up way too often. Very like a PC RPG, Summoner is akin to another ambitious role-playing game that didn't quite hit the mark, Nomad Soul.
So here you are.
Summoner also has a nifty fighting system where you select your enemy, wait for the chain sign to appear and then rely on your timing. As you level up, more attacks become available to you. With up to 4 playable characters in your party, battles can be quite wild, as you select each character onto a different enemy. Once you get the ability to summon beasties though, it gets really interesting. One for patient lovers of the genre, preferably with bad eyesight. Only the truly resolute will see this game through to the end. But despite its faults, Summoner is still a gripping game. Not for RPG virgins though, as it only really gets going 4 hours after you've left the start line. If you can be asked, it's out on the 23rd for the PlayStation 2.
Now, we have here a letter from a Nintendo fan who says we're not doing the 64-bit cause any justice.
Dear Bits, I've noticed over the past few months you have featured little Nintendo footage on your show. I think this is abhorrent and you should do something about it now. What is happening in the wonderful world of Mario and his pals? And aren't there supposed to be some games coming out this year? I need a fix, man. Help me out here. From Peach.
Dear Peach, well, word from Camp Nintendo is that they are winding down production on some of their most highly awaited titles, and get this, you will not be seeing them on a shop shelf near you.
No, apparently Rare's 2 flagship titles, the brash and crass Conker's Bad Fur Day and the Zelda-esque Dinosaur Planet, are both as good as zonked from the UK release schedule.
Why is it everybody's so offensive around here?
Either bring me back me missing cogs.
This little chickmunk squirrel thing is no longer going to be film referencing and pissing on your N64 thanks to stringent European standards of humour.
Apparently, the Board of Classification feels that toilet jokes are not the types of things that they deem appropriate for a British audience.
Not been exposed to the wonders of Carry-On then. Where have you been?
And the other victim of this is Dinosaur Planet. It doesn't seem like the RSPCA have any objections to riding on the backs of prehistoric animals. Anna Nicole Smith, anyone?
All we can hope is that GoldenEye and Perfect Dark creators Rare are silently preparing this deadly adventure game for Nintendo's next-generation console, the GameCube.
But start collecting those coppers, Peach, because there are a few more games are marching under the shop shelves later in the year. And the first one we're gagging for is Banjo Tooie.
It's the return of the bear and his bird, or really the bird and his bear. More of the same platformy adventure stuff, but those multiple personalities will be reveling in their newfound opportunity to occupy the bodies of the bear, the bird, and the other forest creatures roaming about the joint. It'll be here next month. Hold your horses.
And if you want us to answer your questions with panache, style and wit, you'll be lucky, but you can always try by sending them over to our website at www.fullater.com/biats.
Join us after the break when we are going to get caned.
And Alex will be getting into hostile waters.
But first, here's Rick stroking his chicken and bashing his PC. Oh.
Remember a time when only secretaries and programmers used PCs because they were so difficult to use, and the rest of us had to use consoles to play our games on? These were the first computers to use a graphical interface, allowing millions of people to stop pissing about with DOS and use a proper operating system. You're constantly upgrading and downgrading because your new graphics board doesn't work with your old games. You end up having to buy a new joystick every time you buy a new game. It's enough to make a perfectly sane person go crazy. If you want a gaming system, get one of these. Okay, these are retro now, but that's the whole point. They're cheap, they're cheerful, and if you go out and buy a game for one of them, you're guaranteed that the game will actually work. So there we have it. Why bother going to your local game store, searching for hours for a computer game which will actually run on your PC specification, when you could just go out and buy a machine designed specifically for gaming? It's a console, and if you need to do some real work, get a proper computer.
Thanks, Rick. Nice bird. Join us after the break for Hostile Waters.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, you've come home. Welcome back to Bits, man.
Take it easy now. This is part 2.
Coming up, it's Hostile Waters and Teus Rising.
And we got the competition.
But first, here's an unsung classic.
This week we're checking out rival schools.
A super sexy, super violent smack 'em up emerged in 1998 as an alternative to the butch manliness of Tekken and the two-dimensionality of Street Fighter. Schoolyard antics and playground uprisings. Deep.
Sadly, the knee-high socks and gym slips never dragged its raucous attitude above the grade point average, put its problems down to the Japanese packaging and the rather lackluster marketing non-push.
Throw in the baseball bats and banging techno and you've got one hell of a riot. Ow!
A classic over-the-top Capcom fighter and one of the first to go 3D. Ow!
The story goes, a bunch of kids from rival schools get together when some of their mates get kidnapped. Shit happens, shit hits the fan, we all kick the shit out of each other. As usual, the story doesn't matter a shit.
You choose from 20 different characters, many of whom wear white knickers. There's a volleyball pro, a science prof, and a chick with not much on at all. She's popular behind the bike sheds.
This game is all about timing, or rather, it's all about twatting the buttons as much and as often as you can.
Rival Schools and its fantastic artwork is unique, definitely one of a kind, and a favourite with our panty-obsessed producer. If you like schoolgirls' knickers, you can either hitch a lift to Tokyo and buy some from a vending machine, or just snatch this game. Available if you want it for your PlayStation.
If your favourite game was the ugly duckling of the playground but grew up into a beautiful unsung classic and you'd like to rehash those memories, then why not let us swing the spotlight your way? Send your suggestions in to our website. Address is coming up soon.
From white pants to skid marks.
Driving games, the most saturated but popular genre in the business. The Gran Turismos, the Ridge Racers, the Wipeouts, yawn, bloody yawn. Sick of the same old stars always stealing the limelight?
Here's our top 5 selection of the great driving games that deserve a little bit more attention.
With not a Red Bull logo in sight, you know this predated the suddenly not-so-seminal Wipeout. The original future racer with wings, not wheels, F-Zero was a SNES game. And didn't it do well? Still a contender, you can choose between this one and F-Zero-X updated for the N64. Will stimulate your fingers, not your mind.
Micro Machines is a true classic, so simple that by version number 3, it had become dull, dull, dull. Enter Micro Maniacs, the Diddy car racer with legs. Lead your friends up the garden path, or over the school desk, or even the breakfast table, and run them off the screen. Not drive, not fly, not ride the waves. Run, run, run!
A sim of a sim, Revolt puts you in charge of radio-controlled cars. Stunning tracks, plenty of vehicles to go around, and a great physics engine should have ensured a winner. However unique it was, though, it inexplicably faded from gamers' frazzled fingers.
Well, Cage came out riding on Wipeout Afterburn and was dismissed by many as another thrill-seeking copycat. Ironically, it came from the same hood, but this one had wheels, not wings. Welcome to the flip side, as you take on tracks with horizontal helter-skelter action and its fully 360-degree rotation. One to make you vomit, then.
Finally, get your anorak and thermos out, because it's the most realistic rally sim ever. Ever. Even this PlayStation version is sensational. This is the one that they agonizingly shot every inch of the real tracks, reproducing every flower down to the last pedal. Okay, not quite, but they did get some of the real drivers in to check the rev of the engines. For the retentive amongst you who like it just so, forget about GT and Colin McRae, because this is the real deal, baby.
It seems the Xbox is in trouble already.
Those crazy litigious Yanks, they'll do anything for a quick buck. And it looks like a little Coconut Grove, Florida company is about to make corporate law look more interesting than Ally McBeal's larder.
Yes, John Van Leeuwen woke up one morning to find out that he'd unwittingly stumbled upon a real cash cow. Yes, the CEO of Xbox Industries, nothing to do with Microsoft, was very pleased indeed.
His company have asked Microsoft to stop using the name Xbox or pay up for damages. Whoopsie.
Apparently, his firm registered the name Xbox Industries way back in March 1999.
But what's in a name?
Well, some sources estimate that Microsoft have already spent some $500 million.
That's a lot of name.
But it's not as simple as it sounds. Xbox Industries, the wee guys, will have to prove that their clientele will be genuinely confused by Microsoft, the big guys.
One thing's for sure, some lies will be getting richer. They should just cut their losses and come up with a better name.
Why box?
Dirtbox.
And speaking of court cases, Nintendo are about to go to the dock.
Sideshow Bob-style hackers have been busy programming their ways into the central nervous systems of the company's yet-to-be-released handheld, the Game Boy Advance.
This new 32-bit machine will be on the shop shelves in the US and Japan in a few months' time. It won't be here until July. But you won't find any madly coiffured PC heads in the queues. Oh no, because they've already hacked their way into titles like Mario Kart Advance using illegal emulators.
But be warned, Nintendo are renowned for hammering down hard on anyone who fiddles with their ROMs uninvited.
And finally, guess how many copies of interactive title Who Wants to Be a Millionaire have sold? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D? Over 1 million. Take your time.
I think it's D, Emily.
Are you sure? Is that your final answer? You could lose.
Bored now, cut to the chase.
Correctamundo!
Yes, Millionaire has become the UK's fastest-selling game of all time, and it's hot on the heels of Ms. Lara Croft to become the biggest seller ever.
Are you ready for the next question?
Sales of its American spoof, Who Wants to Beat Up a Millionaire, have not been so successful.
Next up, here's Alex getting jiggy with the trees in hostile waters.
Rage have a lot of pent-up frustration, man. Most of their titles have butch, angry-sounding names with lots of consonants. So it looks like somebody from Greenham Common totally infiltrated the design process when they were making the latest creation. Hippies have taken over the world. They're totally into their recycling, dude. And now they finally figured out what to do with those pesky air freighters at the bottom of the ocean. This is what happens when we have world peace. These are, as Tom Baker says, hostile waters.
20 years ago, this was the scene of the last war on Earth.
The ideas within Hostile Waters are extremely thought-provoking and well-rounded, thanks to the genius of comic writer Warren Ellis. The world has been overrun by New Age crystal gazers. People are handing out flowers and the Army's barber shop is filing for bankruptcy. They've forgotten how to wage war. So when the old world cabal puts in a bid for planet Earth, the hippies resort to their only weapon against these power-hungry ex-generals and heads of state. They turn to resurrection. But there's not a pacifist in 2032 willing to spill blood for the cause. They're all too busy, like, living in trees and having love-ins, man. But things are getting less chilled out now that the corporate downers are, like, totally invading your personal space, man. Cut the organic warrior shit, dude. There's a whole Silicon army just waiting for you at the bottom of the ocean, stuck in the brains of the dearly departed crew of the Antaeus. This is a thinking man's strategy title. The enemy is clever and well protected. Don't expect to get anywhere with a short attention span. Haste makes waste, and you'll have to linger around the edges of warfare before actually getting in there and blasting everything to hell. Those with an itchy trigger finger will find themselves quickly back in Quake 3 land. Because Hostile Waters is part action, part strategy title, you've got the basics of both. You've got to get resource material. Then, you must build up to 40 different machines of war and recycling, all of which you can enter and control with ease. Or, if you'd rather not get your hands dirty, you could direct the action from the war room via a user-friendly waypoint. Some of you veterans might notice a distinct similarity between this and space-based action real-time strategy Battlezone. Well, you'd be right, but Battlezone has a few more interesting tactics than this one. Whoa, paint! There's no first-person toggle mode, there's no getting in and out of enemy vehicles, and there's no espionage. But that doesn't mean that Hostile Waters is a total ripoff. No, this is a game of extreme depth. It does require, though, that you read the manual from front to back. Boring. And it also recommends that you get an extra brain so you can store all of the excess information that you're going to need at close cognitive hand as you progress through the extremely difficult levels. Or you could lay off the dupe. Hostile Waters is surfacing on the 23rd of this month. It's competition time! It's competition time, dude! All you have to do to win this Ducati World +1 bundle is to flex your mind with this week's meaningless task.
Our friend Shazza's once confessed that she shits at least 4 times a day. She says it takes her a full 10 minutes each shitting. This means she spends 40 minutes a day on the throne. We were wondering if video game characters had to deal with such a round of daily bowel movements, which one of them would be on the crapper the most, and why? The best explanation, Pooper Scoops the loot.
Shocking. Send your answers in via our website at www.forlater.com/bits.